Yeah. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Let me get everything going real quick. Mic check, mic check. Yes, sir. We up. Facebook, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? All right. Everyone is having a great time of day, whatever time of day you are consuming this. You see, if you're looking at this right now, you see the thumbnail that we're about to get into something today. We're about to get into something today. It's what we do. You already know. Regular consumers, you already know. It's what we do. We get right into the heaviest of topics. It's what we do. You already know. Regular consumers, you already know. It's what we do. We get right into some heavy. Heavy, all things employee development. We're not ducking any topics. We're not ducking anything around here when it comes to employee development, developing your mindset, developing your professional distance, developing as a professional, and aligning it with your personal life. There's so much that this literally the entire business is built off that concept alone. So before I dive too deep into the concepts today, let me just introduce myself to anybody that's new to my world or any newcomers that are coming in. First and foremost, my name, it's Aswan Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon to be 6-time published author and educator. What I've done, what the whole Move Swiftly business is all about, is taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with businesses and aligning them with more in particular business owners, so they can have a staff, they can have a group of employees that moves as efficiently and as progressively and has that hunger, has that passion as a champion, the same hunger, the same passion as a championship high school or youth football team. That's what we do around here. One of my superpowers, my main thing is taking that energy. You ever seen a championship football team and they coming out and they're ready to go, they ready to move, they looking at each other in the eye, they done been through practice, they done been through the camp, they done been through hot summer days, and they're ready. You want your staff, you want your group of employees looking like that, feeling like that every single day, just because it's damn Tuesday, right? Just because it's Tuesday, just because they're happy to have a job, just because they appreciate the moment. That's what you want. So that's what I'm able to do because of my life experiences. And one of the staples to the brand is what I call a top five Tuesday. Top 5 Tuesday, folks. Top 5 Tuesday, where we breaking down complex, like sometimes it'll be some current events. Sometimes, most of the time, it's going to be based on the theme. Just depends on what's going on in the world at this particular time. Today, we are breaking down the top 5 ways, a topic that I'm sure every single person has dealt with. All right, we're breaking down the top 5 ways to cope with folks who have a conflicting worldview as yours. All right. All week, we've been breaking down worldviews. Yesterday, I posed a question in terms of how do you define your worldview? I explained to you guys yesterday, hey, I was learning along with teaching you guys that, hey, I just realized just last week that I'm a centrist and I'm more so believing, I'm more so a person that focuses on results and is a person actually, producing the results that they say they want to produce and all that kind of stuff. Go listen to the show last week. But now we want to break down the top 5 ways to cope with conflicting worldviews, because I have news for you. Breaking news for you is that you will run into a lot of people that do not share your worldview. You will run into a lot of folks that plain and simple don't have it. All right. You have your life experience. You have whatever it is you doing and however it is you're providing, or however it is you think, and another person has theirs, and there's going to be ways and there's going to be things that you have to do in your own heart, in your own mind, to cope with it. All right, we're going to break all of that down today. All right, today, so you have a better day today, and that's really where it starts. It starts with just having a better day today. So before I get too into the topic today, let me just get through two quick announcements, and then we'll get right into the top five list today. So first and foremost, for you business owners, if you have not yet gotten on my email list, make sure you go and do that as soon as possible, like right now. It's very, very easy. All you got to do is go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. That's freeguide.makeyourmove.com. If you're listening to this on the Move Swiftly podcast, very easy to remember, just freeguide.makeyourmove.com. Simply put your first, last name, phone number, and email in. I'll take you maybe 15 seconds, and you will receive a free 10-step process on how to develop a solid staff now, things that you could be doing now. This is basically the way I teach, basically the kind of the free entry into it. All right. It's how the starting point. We'll do it like this. The starting point to how you start to build out the staff or create this staff of cohesion. There are two things that you have to do as a business owner. Number one, you got to start establishing measurables. And number two, you got to have a professional distance. You pretty much put those into a math problem, like an addition problem, and that's going to lead to a productive environment. But you need to have those two things in place. You need to have measurables in place and a professional distance. All right. This is where a lot of business owners get it wrong, because you decide that you're going to just do something and you're making some money doing whatever it is you're doing, but you're not necessarily thinking about the folks that are representing your brand, the ambassadors, the ones that represent what it is you do, and handing your business off to employees and staff and stuff like that. And you start getting too close to them, and things start not going necessarily the way you want them going. So you have to make sure measurables are in place. There's a professional distance, and there's always a productive environment. Those are the things that, again, I picked up, and as I played, as I coached, and as I scouted, in a lot of the environments that I've been blessed enough to be in, even in my household. I joke around. I'll be talking about this a little bit more tomorrow, but I joke around all the time in terms of the household I grew up in. One room was like damn Under Armour. The next room was Nike. The other one was Reebok and Adidas. Because it was such a competitive, like, corporate Crookshank household, and I'll dive deeper into all that tomorrow. But that's really what it was like. But it was a productive environment. It's because there was measurables, there was professional distance, and it wasn't this home that felt, everyone is just kind of cuddling up. It was work. Sometimes we'd all be in the house. There'd be times where all four of us, I grew up with myself, my mom, and my dad, and my older sister. And there'd be sometimes we'd be in the house, all four of us would be on our laptops, like working, iPad, like doing like work stuff. So anyway, I'll dive deeper into that tomorrow. But make sure it's freeguide.makeyourmove.com. And also, speaking of makeyourmove.com, that is the main website to dive deeper into all the work I'm doing. It's your one-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. You can shop, you can purchase some books there, you can book me as a speaker there, or if you just want to know more about this As One Crookshank guy that you see every single morning talking about innovative teamwork, giving you a perspective on teamwork, talking teamwork every day. You just want to know who that dude is, you can do that there too. You can listen to the Move Swiftly podcast, which, by the way, #1 podcast on innovative teamwork, and will continue to be the #1 podcast on innovative teamwork, because it's what we bleeping do around here. All right, let's get into this. Top five Tuesday. Top 5 ways to cope with conflicting worldviews. What the hell do I mean when I say conflicting worldviews? All right, so what got me on this week's topic, and I kind of spoke on this a little bit yesterday, but I want to re-emphasize it in case you didn't listen, or in case you need a reminder, so you understand this. Because it is important that you get reminded of this day in and day out. It is not a solution, or it's not a problem that's just simply going to get fixed in 2 seconds. So there's no quick solution to this problem. This is a problem that you're going to have to cope with every single day, every single moment, every single phase of your life, every single season of your life, every single time you step out of your doors and leave your loved ones and go do whatever it is you need to do to go, make money or whatever it is, you're going to have to deal with folks that have a conflicting worldview than yours. You're going to have to deal with folks even in your personal relationships too. You're going to have to figure out how do you cope with a conflicting worldview. All right. So a conflicting worldview is you were raised, again, like me. You weren't raised like me, but you were raised in a certain mindset. I'm saying like me because I'm going to use myself as an example. If you're raised like myself in a household where there's two parents, my father, my mother, and my older sister, all three of those they were on me about everything, about absolutely everything. If I missed a tackle, if I got bad grades, if I was out too late, they were absolutely on me through every phase. Them three can tell you about the first game I played, how many tackles I got, how many interceptions, what team was playing, what teammates. They were in everything. And many times it started to get to the point where it felt normal. But when I stepped out into the world and I started to realize, hey, every kid doesn't have that. Every single, especially if we're talking about the young Black boys, every single kid, very few, in fact, of that. So when it came to when I got into coaching, when I first graduated college and I first got into coaching and wanted to, work with certain people and understand this, my mother would tell me day in and day out, my expectations for folks are too high. Like, you're going to work every day expecting people to show up on time. You're going to work every day expecting people to actually give a shit about their work and how they present themselves. In fact, I'll never forget. There was one time I was a sophomore in college, and this is when I had to move back home because I tore my ACL. So, sophomore in college, I was going to Montgomery College, which is a community college, and I was working at this gym named Washington Sports Club. And my mother happened to, she worked out. She was, one of the ones that got me into working out or whatever. And I let her come into the gym like a little bit early because I was opening up the gym. It was in South Bethesda, and she was early. And she asked me because it just so happened that my manager at the time, I think it was either Dale or Mark, one of the two. I think it was Mark or Dale. I can't remember. But one of the managers that I had at the time, they happened to be there at that hour. And my mom actually thought I was in trouble. I would have gotten in trouble because I let a member in a little early. It's like, Ma, it's fine. It's fine. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's the mentality they had. The worldview was like, you show up, you do your job. I don't give a shit. I want to hear your damn excuses about who you like and who you don't like. And if you're going to miss work because you don't like a certain person, you can't do your job because this person is doing it. Fuck that. All right. There's a certain way that you have to cope with conflicting worldviews. And we're going to break it all down. And pretty much a lot of what we're going to be talking about today, the reason the article is titled How to Cope with Conflicting Worldviews at Work, this is typically the time when you're going to have to deal with it the most. You're going to have to deal with the concept of the understanding that, hey, everybody wasn't raised the way I was raised. And in many times, you're just going to have to deal with it at work. Most of the time, it's when you go to school. So you grow up. Think about just the way. I'm going to give you kind of a bigger picture of this before I get into the article, right? When you think about the way it works is you are a newborn. You're a newborn and you go from newborn to toddler. And if you watch from a person that goes from a newborn to a toddler, you start to see the personality of the parent come out in certain ways. Like, I'll never forget watching my niece and nephew. They're 2 years apart. And I'll never forget watching them go from babies to toddler and how much of their mother's mannerism they started to take. Like, my sister, well, my niece is telling me stuff that I'm getting flashbacks because I'm thinking like, yo, that is sounding exactly like your mother, right? Like, my niece and my nephew would start literally becoming identical with some of the stuff that they would say with my sister, right? So when you understand that, then there's that time when you go from newborn to toddler. Obviously, you have to go to school. And when you go to school, that is when the worldview start to conflict. That's when it starts to clash. That's when you start to realize, okay, look, everybody's home situation or home life isn't the same. And that's where this process needs to start getting incorporated. The earlier and earlier you can incorporate this process into your young people, the better off the world would be. Because what I am telling you from my heart. All right. I'm telling you from my heart. What we're talking about, what people don't know is it causes a lot of folks to go astray. And it's like subconsciously not even realizing you can get to 12 years old and have this mindset, have this all about me mindset. And this is the way things should be. And if it's not rooted out of you early, this shit just creeps in you. It's almost like a plant a seed that stays in you and just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing until it becomes a full-grown tree. You become a grown-ass man or a grown-ass woman that can't get out of their own head, can't, look at somebody else's situation and say, hey, that situation is, maybe this situation isn't ideal. Let me work with this person. Let me figure out how we can work together for the betterment of the organization. And there's some people who live like grown ass men and women who can't do that. I'm telling you what I know, folks. I'm telling you what I know. And you as a business owner, you got to get this shit out of a person quickly. See, that's the thing. That's why I love the football world that I came out of. Like when it came to what we learned, and the reason, let me put the thumbnail back up. The reason I put this thumbnail up is because between that coach that you see right there, Coach Steve Ginn, and that player, those two players, Darrell Miller and Jelani Jenkins, they were both younger than me. They were sophomores when I was a senior, and I got an opportunity to see the future of what the program would become because they had the mentality, bro. They had the mentality, I'm going to show up and I'm going to look out for our teammates regardless. And then when I first moved to South Florida, I spent 4 years as a boxing trainer. And again, love the owner like a father. I put it in my love the owner like a father. The other coworker that I work with, I wouldn't know how to learn. I wouldn't know how to teach boxing the way I teach boxing had it not been for him. But the three of us really did not get along. But there was so much I was still able to take from two folks that I didn't get along with. And that's why you see the thumbnail was shout out to Gator, man. We used to call it Gator because he's a Florida Gator and all that. In fact, I'll be breaking down the Gator and Miami Hurricane game this Saturday on Film Session Saturday. But anyway, I remember after a workout, she was the one that told me after, because I was down. It was one of those mornings where I was so annoyed with the fact that the dude would show up late every single day and, the owner would say nothing. But Gator looks at me. She goes, hey, man, look, you just got to accept it. Everyone didn't have that coach. Everyone did not have that coach. And you got to accept it. Everyone didn't have that experience. All right. So let me get into that because I already see I'm rambling today, but I'm on one because this is the topic. Man, I couldn't wait to get to this. There's so much here. So, all right, podcast listeners, I am reading directly from the article now. Top five Tuesday, how to cope with conflicting worldviews at work. And if you are not, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And if you are not, make sure you go to medium.com. Follow me on Medium. All of this stuff that I speak about, the majority of stuff that I speak about is also going to be in the written format. And for the Medium followers, you will be getting some perks, some free books, and the new book I'm coming out with how to be a wintrepreneur. All those things are going to be really directed to my Medium followers and probably people on LinkedIn too. Between LinkedIn, Medium, and YouTube are kind of my biggest platform. So, all right, let me get into the article before I usually like to keep these 45 minutes. Let me get into the article before I run out of time. So here we go. Hey, think about it. Wait, it is Tuesday today, which means, as is tradition here, it's time for another Top 5 Tuesday. If you're new to this space, here's the rundown. Every Tuesday for over a year, I've broken down a list, strategies, observations, or ways to align real-life tension with evergreen success principles. Each one is meant to prep you for the emotional roller coaster you're guaranteed to face on your journey towards purpose, performance, and leadership. This week, we're diving into one of the heaviest topics yet, worldview. More specifically, what do you do when your worldview is completely different from the people that you have to work with? Oh, suck it now. When you got to work with folks that you don't share their worldview, you do not like the way they see the world, you do not like the way they are, but you got to work with them and you got to figure the shit out, right? How do you deal with it? What do you do? What is the coping mechanism? How do you do it? Huh? Okay, here it is. Let me be real with you. Someone who grew up in a two-parent household, it was shocking how quickly the world assumed that because I'm a Black male, I must have been raised by a single mom. The assumptions hit fast. And that was just the beginning of the worldview clashes I've had to navigate. So today, here's a top 5 list to help you cope with people whose worldviews are different, are in direct conflict with yours, especially in the professional setting. Okay, number 1, breathe. I love this one. Number 1, breathe. Let me put it up here real quick because this one is this one's important, and it is in a very, very important first step. The number one way to deal with folks who have a worldview that is in confliction, like a direct confliction of yours, is you have to breathe. Okay. Take a breath. I've done a lot of breathing exercise, a lot of work when it comes to breathing. And one of the biggest things when it comes to breathing exercises is just recognizing that you're taking a breath, like just going like this. It sounds very simplistic, sounds very like, hey, obviously I breath. No. When you are clashed, you got to start breaking it down like when you were a kid, right? When you were a kid and you accidentally touch a hot stove, you playing around and you touch a hot stove and the kid just goes absolutely apeshit, right? It's the same thing as an adult. When you first run into, you have this mentality, like for me, speaking as an example for myself, when I would spent 4 years as a boxing trainer. And this was kind of, I don't want to call it a dream job, but it was a dream situation for me because I had always envisioned myself working at a gym. And at the time I was working for the Dolphins. So I'd always envisioned myself aligning what a professional sports organization does and what a boxing or what a fitness center does, and trying to kind of aligning those two worlds. So it was a great situation for me. And I was showing up every single day on time, doing what I had to do, never complaining and nothing like that. And it was shocking to me that a person can show up late every single day and the owner not say a damn word about, like, almost to the point joking about it. But they used to kind of shoot the shit about that. And it was shocking to me knowing that the coaches, like I said, the coaches that I had, the parents and the coaches and the people that I've been around, you show up 2 minutes early instead of 5 minutes early, you getting your ass kicked. They are up your ass if you show up 2 minutes early. If you show up not early enough. That was the mentality and the culture I came from. So when I started to see people just showing up when they felt like showing up, I personally needed to take a breath. The fuck is this? This is crazy to me. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Okay, so I had just breathe, brother. Breathe. All right, that's number one. Step one is to simply breathe. Breathe. Okay. So here I'm reading directly from the article now, folks. No, I'm not being cute or vague. I'm telling you, breathe. All right, just breathe. You can't just walk into a worldview collision and expect not to be shook. It will shake your system because by definition, worldview is a conception of life you didn't necessarily choose. It's what you were taught, absorbed, or raised around. So when someone challenges it, pause, breathe. Do not react based on emotion. Emotional reactivity rarely leads to growth, but composure, that's leadership. Come on, man. Come on. Big facts, 100 emojis. All right. When you start reacting out of emotion, it is not going to lead to any positive result. It is just going to be a shouting match going back and forth. You go, I got this. You got to do this. You got to do. I mean, going at now again. Listen to me. I've been in quite a few of them. So I can tell you from experience, the shouting matches and the yelling and the screaming and the going after a person because you're emotionally charged is not gonna get you anywhere. It's gonna feel good. It's gonna feel good to cuss some people out. Trust me, I've done it. It's gonna feel real good. It's gonna feel real good to really go after someone. I mean, listen, there were times when I coached high school for 2 seasons, and there were times where I would tell one of these these are high school boys. So again, football players, that high school boy mentality. I would tell them, you need to hit this guy. You need to pick up this blitz. You need to literally be telling them the same thing at least 5 times, and they make the same mistake. And I would absolutely lose my shit. And nothing gets done. Nothing gets done, but the kid just wanting to quit, because again, I personally had to accept the fact, hey, look, man, Aswan, or Coach Aswan, they call me, Coach Aswan. Everybody didn't have a Neil Cruikshank like you did. Everyone didn't have the father in the household that when he told you to do something, you go and do it. You don't fucking make excuses about why shit didn't get done. That didn't fly in the Cruikshank household. That didn't work. Okay, that didn't work. And when you're dealing with young men who maybe didn't have or don't have that in the home, you gotta kind of meet them halfway. You gotta kind of say, okay, hey, man, gotta work with him, brother. Gotta work with him. But I'm not saying this to be like, cocky or anything like that. I'm just saying because that's the worldview I grew up around. That's what I thought was the norm. And you don't recognize these things. So number one, when you start clashing with folks, breathe, man, breathe. Take a breath. Take a little bit of a breath. Take a step away from it. And then go on to the next phase. So that's number one. Number one is you got to breathe. All right. Number two, speak calmly. All right. There's another one. This is right. And this has to happen right at the moment. So once you breathe, you take your breath and you're like, all right, cool. I'm ready to roll. Let's rock it out. Let's get better. Let's get a little bit better. Speak calmly. All right. So once you've caught your breath, express yourself with clarity, not volume. This step is overlooked all the time. And when it's skipped, miscommunication and escalation run wild. All right. Back when I taught workshops for Positive Coaching Alliance, I demonstrate this by using football drills. I'd pretend to scream at a player who dropped the pass, putting a whole room in shock. Then I'd reframe it using a calm if-then coaching moment. If you put your hands like this, then you'll make the catch. Same moment, different tone, better result. Apply the same principle when discussing worldview friction. Let me give you guys an example of this, because this is going to be hard to understand if you don't see an example. So here's what I'll do. So this is back when I was one of maybe 2 trainers for a company named Positive Coaching Alliance out here in South Florida. And when it just got started, they had a contract with a lot of schools, from Miami to Fort Lauderdale to out here in West Palm Beach. So I'd be all over South Florida, teaching workshops and doing workshops and, teaching the principles and all that. And one of the things that I would do, whether it was a coaching workshop or whether it was a student workshop, I would always put this example when it came to teaching one of the principles. So one of the principles involves when you're teaching or when you're coaching, use if-then statements. Don't just yell at people. Actually tell them, if you do X, this is going to happen. If you do this, then that's going to happen. That's what I mean when I say if-then statements. So when it comes to doing it in the moment, it's challenging. It's easy to just say it. It's easy to just say, hey, yeah, do it like this when you're in a workshop setting. But what I needed to do is I wanted to provide examples. So here's what I would do. So I would always ask for a volunteer. I'd always ask for a volunteer from the crowd. And then I had a little pretend football, and I'd throw it at them, and I'd have them pretend to drop it. So it'd be like this, boom, they drop it. As soon as they drop it, and I would pretend to be the coach, and I'd scream at them you dropped the ball! You dropped the ball! You're terrible! Get this guy out of here! I would go off. I would pretend that was the wrong way of doing it. It was showing the wrong way of doing it, and I'd go absolutely apeshit and go off and rip the whole workshop, the whole auditorium, whether it was an auditorium or whether it was a library, wherever, or whether it was a classroom, the whole place would go into shock, because that was the first part of the workshop that was oh, okay, this guy's like a really loud guy. He can get energetic. He might be cool on one, but he could always jump out of the person. They didn't, that's the first time they saw Aswan with, that side of Aswan, I like to say. Side of Aswan, I like to say, right? So I would do it that way. And then I would ask them, I would say, okay, guys, did any coaching get done? Did anything get taught by me screaming at this kid? All the coaches, didn't matter whether the coach's workshop or whether it was a player's workshop, whether the parents' workshop, they would always say, nope, nothing got done. Nothing got done because you decided you wanted to scream, you wanted to get shit off your chest, and you wanted to be big honcho, and big coach, big badass, right? And then I would do it the right way. I'd say, okay, look, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to teach you. I'm going to go show you guys how to do it the right way. So they dropped the ball, and then I would go to them. I say, hey, first of all, good job getting open. Good job running your route. Good job getting open. You play on your feet. Next time, if you put your hands like this, then you're going to catch it. All right. I would have the same intensity, the same focus, the same instruction, the same direct tone to it, but it would be focused in a way where I'm using that energy to say, if then say, but to teach them something that they can take. So now, whether you're talking youth, whether you're talking high school, whether you're talking college, they're going to learn, hey, if I'm in the Super Bowl and I'm wide open in a pass and I'm wide open, and if I'm putting my hands the way my coach taught me back when I was a young boy, boom, I'm catching it, touchdown, I'm winning the game. But it was the if then statement that taught them, that planted something in their head that's going to last a lifetime. That's what you got to do as a business owner. That's what you got to do as a coach. That's what you got to do as a parent. That's what you got to do as a teacher. That's what you got to do as the oldest of somebody that's there teaching folks, is you got to give them something that they're going to take for the rest of their life. All right, I'm going to keep going back to this picture because this was a big one for me. When it came to Coach Gent, and we had, again, I will tell you this from day one, we had the best linebackers coach in the entire country that never really wanted any credit or whatever it is like that. But when my former coaches with the White Oak Warriors, Coach Mike Wills, and a lot of the ones that coached me before I got to Good Counsel, when they would see me play, it was a lot of those same exact things that they were teaching me back when I was a kid, hitting the angles, making sure I'm wrapping up, making sure I'm staying inside out, making sure I'm reading the underkeys. And then when I got to college, again, you guys, regular listeners, you guys have heard me say this, got to college, I had a coach named Coach Torbush when I was at Carson Newman, who was, again, somebody that Coach Gent looked up to. And he was learning a lot from the late Coach Torbush. He's no longer with us, no longer with us here physically, but always going to be here mentally when it comes to teaching and having that thing passed along. That's the power of speaking calmly and understanding, hey, look, you got to breathe and understand everyone doesn't have your worldview. And that goes right into number 3. All right. So number two was to speak calmly. Number 3, we got to empathize. All right, guys, listen. And I know it's a lot easier said than done. She's talking from experience here. It's a lot easier said than done. But you have got, to empathize with the folks that have not had the opportunities that you have had. All right. You have got to do that. You got to find it in your heart, some kind of way, however you're going to do it. I don't know what you're going to do, but some kind of way you got to do it. All right. So I'm reading directly from the article now. Let me get a sip of water. Okay. Number 3, empathize. Now that you've breathed and spoken clearly, this part becomes doable. So your 1 and 2 have to happen for number 3 to be doable. All right. Put yourself in their shoes, even if you don't respect their actions. Right now, I deal with 2 individuals in my day job who I flat out clash with. All right. I'll tell you directly, flat out clash with. Different values, different visions, zero synergy. The 2 people, I won't put their name up, but there's 2 people that I just flat out clash with. Don't deal with. All right. And yet, been around them long enough to understand that's them. They're stuck. Their behavior comes from that place, the pain, bitterness, fear. I don't agree with them, but I can see how they got there. That gives me a crystal clear takeaway. I will do whatever I need to do to make sure I don't become like them. I will empathize to the point where now, look, if that's their worldview and that's the way they think, okay, I can empathize to that point. I can put myself in your shoes and let it go and focus on the bigger picture. Focus on the things that are more valuable to society, which is the betterment of the young people, the betterment, the service that we're providing for the kids, the service we're providing for the students, the service that we're providing for the parents, the service that we're providing for the community, the service that we're providing for West Palm Beach, the service that we're providing for South Florida, the service that we're providing eventually for Florida in general, the service that we're providing for the entire world, the actual model that we're creating. The model that we're creating for young people, that is what I can focus on. If you're, I'm just telling you from experience, it's exactly what I deal with on a daily basis. If you are in it, and again, you are in it, because if you're in the workforce, you're running into people that you don't agree with. If you are in it where there's people that you genuinely flat out clash with, and you've known them, and the people I'm referring to in this article, at this point, I've known them for 3 years. It's been 3 years. I've known them for 3 years. All right. So they're not changing. That's what they're not changing. It's the way they are. I can empathize. I can have a conversation with them, and the student, no one would ever know. No one would ever know because of this piece right here. Breathe, speak calm. Okay. Now empathize. Now practice what you preach. Now start to say to yourself, okay. I got to start. If I'm that way, if I would want someone to understand where I'm coming from when it comes to the actions I take, I got to give them the same energy. I got to give them the same understanding. I got to give them that respect. It goes back to forgiveness, folks. Now, I may be asking a lot from some of you because, I'm talking about work stuff, but some of you may be listening, and it may, you may be thinking of an ex-spouse when I'm talking now. You may be thinking of a situation at home or family member that absolutely cut you deep, and you're like, empathize, huh? Trust me, I get it. I understand that. But without this step, you are never going to move past whatever harm and whatever problem that person created for you. And if you don't empathize, I'm telling you from experience, listen, I'm telling you from experience, if you don't figure out a way to empathize with what another person is going through and how they got there, how did that person get to that point? How did that person get to that place where in your head they're talking so much bullshit that you can't even fathom it? Like you can't even in fact, yesterday, I'll give you the story. Just yesterday. So right now, one of the current events that's been going on, and I spoke about this on Sunday, is this situation with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And now there's been, this past Monday, there was a lot of strong takes about it. I personally agreed with RG3 and what he said. I had literally the same. In fact, I did my take before RG3. And I didn't realize until I listened to RG3's take that, Angel Reese is just as guilty. She pushed the girl in the back at the beginning. I didn't even see that part. I just saw the clip where Caitlin Clark fouled her. But when Angel Reese pushed the girl in the back, and Caitlin Clark was reacting to the fact that she didn't get a foul call, so she gave Angel Reese a comment. But I didn't see the part where Angel Reese had pushed the girl in the back. So anyway, RG3 gives a take. It goes viral because he says Angel Reese needs to, just come out and say she hates Caitlin Clark and yada, yada, yada. So I have sort of started to, I used to love the pivot. I'll tell you guys, a lot of you regular listeners remember about 2 or 3 years ago, I was, really into the pivot. I would not miss an episode, but over time, Ryan Clark he's just kind of turned me off with sometimes it's just too much. It's just too much in my opinion. Sometimes, I really enjoy Fred Taylor and Channing Crowder. I think they balance each other out. One is like the wild guy. The other one with Fred Taylor is very measured and composed. But Ryan Clark, to me, it's just too much sometimes because it's ESPN. It's like you're going to do ESPN or you're going to do pivot. All of it is just a little too much in my opinion. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe because he does too much ESPN that it becomes just a little much. But anyway, he had reacted to the Angel Reese situation, and as soon as he brought up RG3's like the fact that he's married to 2 white women and something like that, and all of that stuff just was really much of a turnoff. And I'm bringing it up because when you don't understand folks and you don't give an effort to understand what someone else may be going through, you say bullshit like that. You say stuff that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So Empathy is really, really important. And the next point. So before, I know I got long-winded. I didn't even plan on talking about that today, but it is what it is. We do what we do over here in the Move Swiftly world. So number 3 is empathize. Number 4 is create a professional distance. You got to create a professional distance. This is what I've done. This is what I've done with those 2 individuals that I was referring to before. And if you are around me regularly, you can probably guess who they are at this point. I've created a professional distance. All right. So it's once you've done the work, you've processed it, you've breathed, you spoke calmly, you empathize. Now the opportunity for you to grow. Now the opportunity for you to get promoted comes. Now the opportunity comes where you don't owe nobody anything. You don't have to worry about, doing favors for this one or being embedded to this one. Now creating a professional distance and actually honing into what you want to become as a professional. That's where the magic happens. That's kind of where I'm at now. I'm at a place now where 4 and 5. So 4 is create a professional distance and 5 is move the fuck on. All right. That's where I'm at now when it comes to it, because I have had enough. It just is enough. So reading directly from the article, podcast listeners. Number 4, create a professional distance. Once you've done the work of processing and responding with empathy, you take your power back. You protect your energy. You set boundaries. You stay focused on your mission and let ignorance disqualify itself. Distance isn't disconnection. It's preservation of purpose. Do you need me to read that part again? Do you need me to read the part again? Do you need me to say it for the people in the back? Okay? It says, once you've done the work of processing and responding with empathy, you take your power back. You protect your energy. You set boundaries. You stay focused on your mission and let ignorance disqualify itself. Distance isn't disconnection. It's preservation of purpose. Come on, somebody. Tuesday morning service, baby. It is preservation of purpose. When you decide, I'm going to create a professional distance. I'm going to not necessarily be an asshole about certain things, but people will know, hey, I'm not with this, I'm not with that, but I'm here to do a job and do it to the best of my ability. You're preserving your purpose for the people who deserve it, man. You're preserving it for the folks that really want to make change, the folks that really want to make things happen, for the folks that really are about it. That's what you're doing. All right. So creating a professional distance is really about serving a higher purpose and serving your long-term goals and your long-term plans. And that's what gets respect. That's what it is you got to do. You have got to preserve your purpose. It's important because there's what is natural. It's natural. It's a natural thing for folks who don't share your worldview, who don't pay for professional development or self-development, who move in a way that makes it so they are staying in their comfort zone. It's kind of on them to want you to be miserable with them. That's kind of the natural reaction when they see a person that's doing them or, putting in their work and doing whatever they got to do to get themselves out of whatever situation they're in. They want you to be miserable with them. Misery loves the company. That's the number one thing. Regular listeners, you've heard me say that 1,000 times on the show. They love company. Misery loves company. I will never forget my coach telling me that when I was a kid, man. He's like, especially as a football player, all right, you get a lot of folks that wish that they could do what you do. A lot of folks that wish they can go out there and compete and, play in front of college coaches and get an opportunity to go play at the collegiate level and do their thing and keep themselves in shape and be around a brotherhood. And the misery, the fact that you're just doing what you do and what you enjoy doing, the misery loves company, and everybody gonna try to pull you down. That's what we see every day. That's the kind of shit that goes viral. That's what we see every single day. Go check the internet. Go check what's trending. Go check all of the stuff that goes absolutely nuclear on the internet today. It is stuff that is just drama-filled, right? Drama-filled. And it's always folks who want you to be miserable with them. Don't let them. Don't let them. Create a professional distance that allows you to keep your inner circle tight so you don't really got to worry about a bunch of folks that just don't that aren't going to make it in your world. I'm running out of time. Let me finish off. So number five, it's to move the fuck on. All right, move the fuck on. This one doesn't need much elaboration. You breathe. You've spoken with grace. You've shown empathy. You've created a healthy distance. Now move on to the bigger, better, God-given things waiting for you. If this one hit home, I told you it was going to hit home because everyone deals with it. It's not just as one Crookshank or your name, you, whoever you are that deals with it. Every single person deals with it. If this one hits home, you have got to figure out who you can bring in, how you can create somewhat of a respect factor within your workplace. Again, go to makeitmove.com. Make sure you contact me about how to come in and do some professional development workshops and start doing, because this is what we do in this space. This is what we do. This is what I do. This is what I live. I live this stuff. Lived it since I was a little young boy. And I had to listen to a teacher tell me, oh, are you sure it's not supposed to be Antoine, or mispronounce my name from since I was a baby, since I was a kid. And I had to just fucking eat it. And I still had to learn from this person that I'm having to give a correction to. You get my point? None of that has ever changed. It just got into a different format. I started to use it to my benefit. I started to use it to the way now I'm being paid for you to mispronounce my name. I'm being paid because you can't figure it out. That's what happens. And that's what I implore and I challenge every last one of you guys to do, is stop looking at the things that may have felt like a burden to you and start looking at them as a blessing. All right. So go to makeitmove.com, inquire about the employee development workshops, and we'll dive into a concept tomorrow. Wintrepreneur Wednesday tomorrow. You thought this one was fire? Boy, wait till we talk about how this As One Crookshank's worldview was shaped between my mother, sister, my cousin, and my father. Those four specifically, we're going to be diving into some of that tomorrow morning. So stay tuned for that. All right. Everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.